Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This one's just going to be a nice little discussion one where we discuss Doctor Who, but different to how we normally discuss
For a
Doctor
change, we're talking about
Who.
Doctor Who today.
As always, we normally do review episodes, that kind of thing. But today, as we're rapidly approaching the end of Jodie Whittaker's run as the 13th Doctor, we figured it's a good time to have a chat about who's currently in the running to replace her. Uh, I'll add the caveat in here that this is obviously all subject to change. These are based on betting sites and what their odds are. We're recording this at 5 o'clock Monday afternoon, so when this goes out, we could already know because who knows when they're going to announce this. I know in the article after Legend of the Sea Devils came out, BBC said that there was a announcement expected in the coming weeks. So we could record this and then check our phones and then be like, oh, and then press record
It
again,
would
and
be very
you'll never
funny.
see this then if that's the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows at this point? It could be what it could be any of the people on this list that we're going to talk about, or it could be a completely unknown person that's not even being mentioned because who knows? But to be fair, almost everybody gets mentioned in
Yeah,
relation to this
it's true.
role, especially now that they cast women as well as men in the
Mhm.
role. It now widens the net quite a lot. Um,
Yeah.
but we'll go through these. Some probably quite realistic. Others are pretty outlandish. You might be able to tell which ones are which as we go through them. And yeah, we'll give our thoughts on if we think they'll be a good role and what potentially they could be in the show. So we'll get the big one out of the way first, the one that seems to be gaining an unbelievable amount of traction. Um,
Relatively unknown actor.
the relatively unknown actor, completely new to the show, David Tennant. Um,
Right.
I
Yes.
I think he is currently favourite, or at least he's definitely like second or third to return to the role. And I'm going to assume that if you were to bet on this, it would be to return to the show as the 14th Doctor rather than
Yeah.
the 10th Doctor coming back. Um, I mean, what do you think about that in the first place?
No.
hmm
I think getting someone who's played the Doctor before to play a new incarnation, that's something that you would do, I think, like a curator type thing if you were to end the show for good and like we're never bringing it back. This is how we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Something like that, I feel like, okay, fair enough. Revisiting old faces and stuff. But as it stands right now, I don't like that idea at all. It's a bizarre thing, and I mean, he's rumored to be coming back every time a Doctor quits, and so is
Yeah.
Billy Piper and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Um, but for some reason, it's really taken people by storm this time around. I don't
hmm
quite know why. I think it might just be why he's being crossed and he's going to be back for
Yeah.
the anniversary stuff, and people are hearing rumors about that, and they're taking that as like, oh, he's the next Doctor. When I don't think it's the case personally, and I think it would be a bizarre step backwards to do that
hmm
and to revisit a previous actor in that way. He's made his mark on the show already, and the fact that he's one of the most popular and iconic Doctors we've ever had. Very weird that they would even think to bring him back and
hmm
do something different. Especially when it's only like 4 Doctors ago. It would be
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I really don't think it's true in the slightest. I think it's completely outlandish and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, but you're never going to stop that little group of fans on the internet, bring David Tennant back, and the
hmm
show was good and at its best, and they haven't seen his episodes since they first went out, and they stopped
Yeah.
watching it years ago.
Yeah.
Not just because they think the show's bad, it's just because they grew out of it, which is fine. But
hmm
then they just keep talking about how the show's bad when they haven't watched it for like 10 years. Um, but I would love to see David Tennant back on the show. I would like to see him play the 10th Doctor back on the show for an anniversary every now and again.
hmm
But as the 14th Doctor, big no from me. And I just don't think, you know, he's a very in-demand actor. He's always in something, doing all these
Yeah.
different kind of roles. He's doing very well for himself, obviously. He's got one of the strongest careers out of any Doctor ever.
hmm
Um, I can't see him committing to playing a Doctor again full time. He's done what he wanted to do with the show. Um, So yeah, who knows? Because it is Russell back in
Yeah, yeah.
fray, but I really don't think this is something that we're going to see, and I wouldn't want to see it personally.
No, and I did think about this yesterday because he obviously gave that interview at whatever Comic Con he was at, saying, and he didn't confirm or deny it, so that only really fueled rumours more than anything else.
Yeah,
Which is exactly what he said would happen.
yeah,
So it's a place he's been in before. And I sort of had a thought yesterday. Where I'm like, I wouldn't mind it if this was like for the 60th. He came back and it was just he was the 14th Doctor for that one special because there something went wrong. Say Jodie opened that watch and all the memories of previous Doctors came back. I don't know, something like that.
yeah. I could kind of see a kind of thing of like, I don't know how they would explain, obviously just a very Doctor Who techno-babbly way, but like it is the 14th Doctor, but it's still like morphing into their form, and by doing so they're played by previous actors who played the Doctor. I think that would be cool. And then they are technically playing the 14th Doctor, and then they kind of like, this is the face that I'm settling on at the end, and then we find out who it is or something. That would work. But
I think
if it's just him, no.
Yeah, I think that's how it would. That's the only way I think you could make him. I mean, unless he plays literally a wildly different version of the Doctor, I think it would be tricky to get that across. And I think even within the realms of the show, people won't, especially externally, won't necessarily be comfortable with that. But
yeah, they would always see him as a 10th Doctor anyway.
Yeah, because if you had him come back and play, a First Doctor-esque personality, I think that might have a negative effect on his role in the 10th Doctor as well, depending on how it went down. It would be a big risk, but the fact that the 14th Doctor's coming in, or in theory their first appearance will be the 60th anniversary, I would expect David Tennant will return for the 60th, but I wouldn't expect him as the 14th Doctor unless they do it with some, I'm going through stages of regeneration, here's me now, here's current Tom Baker, I've regenerated to current Tom Baker, even though it's I'm not whatever.
So there's a scene in the classic series where Romana, she's like, she can just choose what she looks like. So she's like going through all these different people and stuff. It'd be fun if like, for whatever story reason, it's just like, why don't you try out a few of the old models before you pick your new one? It's just something like that.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if they do something like that again for the anniversary of the show. That's a nice, easy way to sort of be like, hey, here's all the classic Doctors, but don't know. Either way, I don't think this will happen.
No.
And if it does, I'll be very shocked. I'll be open for giving it a go, but it wouldn't surprise. I wouldn't expect that to last more than one season, unless it turns out to be the best thing they've ever done. But I don't think so.
It feels very much like it feels like a gimmick, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately. So that's the big one out of the way. The big sort of one that everyone talks about.
The one it's actually going to be.
yeah. That's the one in. If you want to put a bet on it, do it now on David Tennant. The next one is Lydia West, who most recently has been in It's a Sin, written by Russell T Davies, and Years and Years, written by Russell T Davies. She's a fairly up and coming actress. I think she either recently got an award or she was at an awards ceremony recently. I think she did a short clip that was like, "I'm not the Doctor. I'm not the Doctor. I am not the Doctor." She told all the media.
Oh yes, I did see that actually.
So naturally, the media went, "She's the Doctor." Oh
yeah, she got a BAFTA nomination for It's a Sin.
There you go, and she is very good in It's a Sin, and she's very good.
And she was in Dracula, which was written by Moffat and Gatiss. So all these connections everywhere.
She's already got the in. It wouldn't surprise me if she is the next Doctor. I think personally she would probably be my pick, based on what I've seen her in before. I think she's excellent. She's really good. A really good up.
She looks a lot like Valkyrie from Thor.
Yeah, there is that. And so I think she'd be my pick. And I think
I could see it. I think I haven't seen her in anything, admittedly, but I could see her as a Doctor or a companion. So I know that's been a debate like which one would she be. I could see either. I think.
I mean, that's also it. It wouldn't surprise me if she's the companion, and that's why she's specifically saying I'm not the Doctor rather than I'm not in Doctor Who, because she could be the companion. And I will take either. I think she's a great upcoming actress, and it will be interesting to see if there's anything in that whatsoever. She's had previous with the writers. Even if I highly doubt Stephen Moffat will come back. Russell might be able to convince him to do one or two, but I doubt he'll play a big role.
No, definitely not.
But if Russell's looking for someone he knows for his first series back, just to sort of steady the ship, this would be a good choice. Also, a woman, so that would also, knock out the park the theories and rumours that Russell would just completely ignore the 13th Doctor and that kind of thing, which I think will be sort of good. I'm not saying, the show's not sticking to its guns if it hires a male, but at the same time, I would love to see that annoying section of the fan base get really pissed off. Big cast.
Yeah, I would low-key be a bit sad if they've gone for a male again so soon. Yeah. I would like another one.
It wouldn't surprise me. And doctors don't have to stay around for five years. Chris Ferguson had one season.
Patrick Troughton always said do 3 years then leave, and that's why Peter Davison did 3 years.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if this first series back is just one series. Maybe someone signs on for one and is like, okay, bye. But who knows at this point? Have you got any thoughts on Lydia West? I know you've not seen any of the shows she's been in.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of her, but I did see that interview with her recently, and personality-wise, she seems really likable, and I think to be an ambassador for the show and have behind-the-scenes interviews and stuff is also an important thing. Something I think Jodie's also been excellent with this era. So yeah, I could see it. I think she definitely has the kind of look and style, and I wouldn't be mad at this, and it would finally get me to knuckle down and watch It's a Sin, which everyone's been yelling at me to do for a year. So I do need to do that and watch it, especially because probably everyone in that show is going to be in this next era at one point or another as a guest star or as a main cast member or whatever. So yeah, that would also be good for me to finally knuckle down and watch more stuff with people in. But yeah, I could see it. I'd be more than happy if she was cast.
That's fair. But we stick with It's a Sin for another one of the cast, Omari Douglas. Who is one of the four main characters from It's a Sin. I wouldn't necessarily say he was the standout in It's a Sin. For me, that was obviously Lydia West, which is probably why she's rated a bit higher.
Yeah, played Roscoe. Okay.
Yeah, but either way, he's still very good. He was still great in the show. I mean, everyone in the show was great. He's a very, very new actor. I think I looked at his IMDb and he hasn't done much outside of It's a Sin. So that might be something where Russell wants to go.
So he's free.
Well, yeah, there's that. He's free. He's also, he's not hampered by expectations. He's not hampered by previous roles that people might be looking for him to take inspiration from.
That's true, yeah.
So he's effectively a blank slate where you could be like, there you go, you do anything you want because, there's no expectation. And at the same time, it would be a black male, which is yet to be a doctor. Which would be another step, and I think if it's not a woman, it will go that way. Purely because I think it's the whole wanting to appeal to a diverse audience, and also piss off the fans. Fans, big quotation marks. But yeah, like I said, he's not really been in much else, and you've not seen It's a Sin. So have you got any thoughts?
I mean, I like the look of him. He seems cool. 28 years old, so he can run down corridors. That's basically the requirement to play the Doctor for the most part. And Lydia West is also 28, which is interesting. I have to see how old all these people are. I mean, David Tennant's 50, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think there's a good mix in this list of ages.
Yeah, and I suppose that makes sense, really. But yeah, again, I haven't seen him act in anything. I don't really know of him. I haven't seen interviews or stuff with him in, like I have at least with Lydia. But if he was part of a show that's been as well received as It's a Sin's been, he's clearly good. So, what I really want from whoever plays the next Doctor is someone who's, a good actor. So I imagine he is. So I would look forward to seeing what he would bring to it. And, it is about time we get a black male Doctor, I think, as well. So again, I would be more than happy with that choice. And another reason for me to finally watch It's a Sin.
Yes. Well, here's a third reason for you to watch It's a Sin.
God.
Ollie Alexander has been heavily rumoured for the role since I think Russell was confirmed.
I think he was the first name I saw thrown around when Jodie announced she was leaving.
Yes, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't his band called Years and Years?
I have no idea.
I want to say yes. Because I think I've always thought.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I just saw.
So he wasn't in Years and Years, but he's in Years and Years. Uh, so there's all sorts going on with that one. I think for me, this isn't one that I'm a fan of, but I think it's probably more because I don't necessarily like his character in It's a Sin.
Right.
I won't give spoilers for people that haven't seen it, obviously yourself, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. I just didn't like his personality, but again, I think that's part of the point of his character in the show. So it's not like, you're a terrible actor, you didn't do that very well. But in the opposite for the previous actor, he does have that impact of he might have rubbed people the wrong way in previous shows. He's obviously got a band, a successful band that he is part of that is doing quite well.
He seems to be very focused on his music at the minute as well.
Yes, obviously, that doesn't stop people from performing in cinema and TV. Just look at Jared Leto.
They might do the new theme tune for the new
there you
series.
Go. So there's, I wouldn't necessarily be against it, but I don't think he's my first choice. But he's worked with Russell before. He's got that relationship with him. I think they do quite like each other a lot. He's also a gay man, which will also probably rub people the wrong way. But
Good.
That's what's going to happen unless you cast a straight white man. So there's all these kind of things that play into it. And if he does get the role, I'll always be like, okay, let's see how it goes. And you've always got to give a new Doctor a season or so to sort of get their feet under the desk, and settle down. So not something that I'm really for or against, but not my top. So what about you? How do you feel about Ollie?
Again, I've not seen him in anything. And I think he does seem to be very focused on his music at the minute. Maybe in like another 5 or so years, that could be a potential contender. But I think out of all the It's a Sin people that are in the running for it, or apparently in the running for it, they might not even, most of these probably haven't even had discussions about it. Everyone's like, oh, it could be this person. I think they're probably one of them, or least likely. But again, I could be completely wrong. And again, I can't really judge them on their acting or anything because I haven't seen them in anything. So, it'd be a wait and see situation. And if I haven't already mentioned it, a reason to watch It's a Sin. Finally.
Oh God, yeah, I think that's fair enough. Now I might butcher these coming names because I'm an English man that can't speak foreign languages very good. So forgive me, please. Next is Rakhee Thakrar. I think I said that right. So this is one that you only mentioned to me today. I think she's recently sort of been bumped up the list because of a flurry of bets on her have bumped her up. So what the 2 highlights of her career I picked out was obviously Sex Education and EastEnders. 2 shows you watch.
The 2 things I've seen her in.
Yes. So how would you rate her as a Doctor? Would you be interested to see what she could bring, or do you think it's maybe not the right fit?
I think out of this list, because is it Tania Miller? Is that how you pronounce her name? If she was in this list, she'd probably be my pick. But I think Rakhee would probably be my pick out of the people we're discussing in this. She left EastEnders years ago, but I was watching it religiously with my father when she was in it. There was a character called Shabnam who was in it with her family. She left, and then when they brought the character back, Rakhee played her and they recast. And everyone was like, why are you bringing this character back? She was boring as hell. And Rakhee made her one of the best characters in the show by a country mile. She got really good storylines and she was just a fantastic actress. I think people, if they've watched EastEnders, obviously, which is a pretty big deal in the UK, I think they are going to remember her from that for some of the stories that she got. And the fact that her exit was a surprise. They didn't announce that she was leaving, and then she left, and everyone was like, "Oh, Jesus, okay, well, that's a shame because she's only been around for 2 years." But yeah, she's fantastic. So she can do the heavy-hitting, dramatic stuff from EastEnders, and in Sex Education, she's hilarious. And particularly in the latest, in season 3, she's got a much bigger role, and she's, she can show her comedic chops a bit with that as well. So I think she's got everything you would need for that. Also recently, she was an 8th Doctor companion in Big Finish. And we know David Tennant's first dipping of a toe into the Doctor Who universe was Big Finish before he was cast.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, following in the footsteps there, maybe it would be interesting. And yeah, her name was thrown around ages ago to be like a new companion. Before John Bishop was announced, I think she was like tips to be a new companion then. But now the new companion is rumored to be Lily from Sex Education. So it would be a very funny reunion if this was the Doctor alongside them. So yeah, I think she's a fantastic actress. I'd be thrilled if she was cast. So wait and see. But I think out of everyone we're talking about today, she'd be my pick.
Interesting. Well, fair enough. I mean, I'm only a few episodes into Sex Education, so it hasn't really come up for me, unfortunately. But I'm sure she's great in it. I will take your word for it. And EastEnders, because I won't go back and watch those EastEnders episodes because that's a big commitment. Next one, again, I apologise for this name. Fisayo Akinade, I think. He was most recently in Heartstopper, which is obviously
Akinade, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. He was in Heartstopper, which is currently taking the internet by storm following its release onto Netflix, less than a week ago, maybe a few days ago?
It was last Friday, so 3 days ago.
There you go. And it's currently all over the shop. He's also appeared in Cucumber and Banana, which is also written by Russell T Davies. So there's that connection there already. This is a name I hadn't seen with a role. It was only when researching who's currently on favourite that I saw him pop up. And yeah, I mean, again, I don't have too many thoughts, but sure, why not? You know, I've not heard terrible things about them, so as long as they're not controversial, fine with me. And I'm always, I think I would. Well, if it's the whole thing that goes actually, if you've not seen them in anything before, it takes away any sort of feelings you may have had about them. And it's kind of a blank slate where you're open to whatever happens. But I know you've been watching Heartstopper, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, if we'd filmed this merely 2 days ago, I'd have had no idea who he was. I didn't even know until I Googled the names on the list you sent me that he was even in the running. But yes, I have been watching Heartstopper, and it's bloody brilliant and wholesome, and I'm really surprised at how much I've loved it. And yeah, he plays a teacher in that. He plays an art teacher. Kind of a small role, but he does have some really great scenes with the main character in there. And yeah, he's fantastic. I really enjoyed him in that part. He's got a wholesome quality that I could easily see be applied to a Doctor. Would they go for wholesome again? Because Jodie has kind of a warm, light-hearted energy, like 2 Doctors in a row. I don't know, but also I don't know if Russell would go for a Capaldi-esque Doctor. I'd be very interested in seeing him write a Doctor like that. But we'd have to kind of wait and see. But again, I think he'd be a good pick. The first picture of him on Google, he's wearing a bow tie, so you know I'm all for that in terms of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see it. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think he would be a pretty cool choice.
Interesting. Well, that's always positive. At least you've not gone, no, he's terrible. Keep him away from the show.
He was the worst part of it. No.
So, you know, that's always a good sign. But that's good. Yeah, again, if he is, why not? Sure, I'll allow it. It's fine. I will keep watching Doctor Who. You'll keep my business.
It'll be a reason to watch
all
these other
RTD
shows I haven't
Cucumber
seen.
And Banana. Yeah, they came out years ago. I think they were some of the first.
That was a few years ago now, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think you did them after he left Doctor Who. Though I remember them being on Channel 4. But I think I was still a bit too young to watch them when they came out. And again, I apologise for how I perhaps pronounced the next name, but Fady Elsayed.
I think that's pretty close. This is Ram from Class, right?
Ram from Class.
Fady, yeah, I think it's Fady Elsayed.
Oh, maybe.
Or Fady Elsayed.
Either way, Ram from Class.
Another 28-year-old.
Well, there you go. See,
15th of September, his birthday. So close.
So close. Never mind.
Never mind. Oh, well.
Yeah. So obviously, this actor has starred in Class, the Doctor Who, the short-lived Doctor Who spin-off, that was in Capaldi's second series. I think it takes place. Or is it between 2 and 3?
It's between 2 and 3. Yeah.
There you go. So it's, in theory, takes place at Coal Hill, I think. Coal Hill School.
Yes, it does, yeah.
Although a nice fancy Coal Hill School, because they did a little bit of a refurb. Effectively follows a bunch of students who have the same class. who have to, fight aliens. It's sort of a similar vibe to Sarah Jane, except they were trying to target, I think, the more teenage audience for this one.
It's Sarah Jane with blood and sex.
Swearing.
It's basically
tortured but younger.
Tortured.
A mix of both in the middle.
But that's
It's
a
not
good way
Doctor
of putting
Who.
it. Yeah.
As you may have noticed, I said short-lived because it had one series. I don't. It wasn't received well when it came out. I think there was a mixture of issues. It was on BBC Three, but it was also on BBC iPlayer. It was when BBC Three was like dying a death.
And BBC Three aired it at like 5 to 11.
Yeah. It wasn't advertised very well. I think the writer, I've forgotten his name, did Monster Calls, the book.
Patrick Ness, right?
That's it. Yeah. I think I think his film had just come out and flopped, so I think he'd just had a bit of his stardom was fainting a little bit.
And when it was first conceived, it wasn't even a Doctor Who spin-off. They just forced it to be a Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like from development to production and everything. It was like what they intended it to be when they started.
Similar to like what Netflix did with the Cloverfield project, the third Cloverfield film, where they just took an existing IP and went Cloverfield and then added some references. I didn't watch the whole show. I think I watched about half of it. But there were some interesting things in there. I think this actor was definitely one of the standouts in the role. I think he was the cool kid, wasn't he, sort of thing. So naturally he's going to probably be the one that gets most focus. I could see him in the role. It would be very sort of David Tennant, Chris Ferguson-esque, I think, which, that kind of action hero that they were, which would surprise me. And as we mentioned before, it's a black man, so it will piss off some people, which, I'm sure Russell will love. But, I mean, we should say here, it shouldn't piss people off, but it will.
It should.
That's just the internet. So, what can you do? But I think he would be great in the role from what I've seen him in Class. I haven't seen him in anything else, but I think that's because he's not really done anything else. But either way, if this is true, which I think this is definitely one of the least, we're getting into the least likely people now. I think he's the most likely out of the least likely people, I think, that would get the role.
Yeah, he's the one I'd like to see most out of the least likely people.
Yes.
Out of the Reddit rumours.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously you watched the whole of Class, so what
I did. Somehow I watched the whole of Class. I think you said you got about halfway through, which is where the worst 2 episodes are the middle 2 episodes. It was terrible. But surrounding that, I had a good time with Class. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't good, don't get me wrong. But, I think there were some really great standalone episodes in there. It had a lot of potential. It was just kind of a shame that right from the off, I think it had a bit of a trouble production. So, they were fighting a losing battle, really. But I do think he was probably the best actor in there out of the bunch. Aside from Peter Capaldi's appearance in episode 1, of course. But, that kind of goes without saying. But his character goes through the ringer in Glass. He loses many people over the course of the show. The finale alone, I think, just kills off his entire family. He loses his leg, loses his girlfriend, he loses his other girlfriend. He gets put through the emotional ringer. And from what I remember, granted I've only watched Class once, I do remember him having some standout performances with the material that he was given like that. So I do think he's more than capable to have the acting chops to do it. It's just a matter of the fact that this was like a Reddit rumor and a joke that then tabloids thought was real and then published. So I don't think there's any truth to it whatsoever. But I could imagine him in the part should the rumors have been like, actually, wait, that is a good choice. Let's contact him and see. Which would be a very funny way of it coming about. But I don't think it is going to be him, but I wouldn't be mad. I think he's a really good actor. So.
Well, there you go. If he does get cast, expect Class reviews on this channel shortly thereafter.
We should just do it anyway. I think it'd be hilarious.
Should we? Maybe we'll wait until we get to Peter Capaldi and then we can tie it in there. I don't think we won't jump ahead because I think that would, that might kill me.
That is true. You're right.
Now these two I think are ridiculous picks, but they're floating around. The first one is London legend Danny Dyer.
Yeah. I forgot about this.
Again, I think this is basically a joke. It's a joke, It's because he's leaving
Or Danny
EastEnders.
Dyer.
He's leaving EastEnders soon, and it's just
These are London's
coinciding.
deadliest Daleks.
It's coinciding with the timing. I think I think it would do very well to get viewers in. I think right off the bat, if that would sustain over this over his season.
I think for maybe 2 or 3 episodes, the viewing figures would be high,
Yeah.
and then people are like, okay, we've had enough now.
Yeah, it would, because as good. I like him as a bloke. He seems nice, but I don't think he has range. Is it harsh to say that? I think it's fair.
I mean, to be fair to him, he's been very good in EastEnders when he's been given the stuff to work with.
Yeah.
So I do think he has acting chops.
Mm.
Doctor Who acting, I think Doctor Who requires a very specific style of acting, if that makes sense. At least to be the Doctor specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can see that with Danny per se. Plus, he's still filming on EastEnders for literally the rest of the year still. So I don't think he's even leaving until like the very end of the year. And if rumours are to be believed, well, something in Bad Wolf Productions is starting filming today. So there's the dates could line up that we get a holiday special at the end of this year from Bad Wolf. If it's Doctor Who, it might be something else that they're producing. But something is starting filming today.
Sarah Jane, it's all back. Glass, no.
I would be interested to see how they bring back 17 Adventures. It would just be the Randy Chandler Adventures, I'd imagine.
Luke Smith Adventures.
Yeah.
Done.
It would work. The K9 Adventures. K9 shows famously do so well.
Yeah.
But I find Danny Dyer absolutely hilarious. And I do think he is a good actor. I don't know if he's the acting fit for Doctor Who, particularly not the Doctor.
Yeah,
I would say I can't see it personally.
No, and I do agree. I think he could be a good companion, to play off. Maybe if we wanted 2 companions again, I think he could do well there. Similar to how Bradley Walsh has sort of come in and did the role really well, and John Bishop, 2 people that you don't think could show range or sort of has the same style, have done in sort of prove people wrong. I think it could be good if Danny Dyer wants to break the mold out of his Cockney traditional London sort of thing and wants to do something else. I don't know, but I don't think he'll be the Doctor purely because I just think it's too far from what he's done before. And it doesn't. I mean, they could cast him and we could be proved wrong.
It's true,
but they could also cast him and it could tank the show. So who knows? Who knows? It will be interesting either way. So yeah, sure. Again, why not? Just give anyone the role. I don't care.
You know what? Yeah, if he's unpopular, they kill him off halfway through his run.
Exactly.
And they just get a new actor in for the second half of the series or something.
That's the beauty of the show, is that you could just kill them off whenever you want.
Yeah, just because you can bring a new Doctor in, it doesn't mean they have to last very long.
No, exactly. This one, we've always been calling out to have a Doctor for half a season, have a surprise regeneration, and just walk away with somebody else. This could be it. You could try it. But no, I don't think it will happen. Then the other sort of more outlandish one, which I think is the biggest name on this list, is Hugh Grant. He's been linked recently. I think he tweeted out after he's linked that he was like, nope, it's not me, pals. But, we should believe actors when they say they're not in things because they're definitely telling the truth. Andrew Garfield.
I'm not the werewolf. I am not the werewolf.
So I think that's partly also what helps with these lists, is that people can say I'm not in it, but no one's going to believe them anymore.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield has changed things forever when it comes to speculation on who is returning to what.
Which is always fun. But again, Hugh Grant does have history with the show and with Russell. He starred in A Very English Scandal, written by Russell T Davies. He actually played the Doctor in the Children in Need Curse of Fatal Death special, which was penned by Stephen Moffat. And he was offered the role before it was revived in 2005. So there is a bit of history there which could suggest that they might have tried again. Again, to be fair, I think I would not have complaints about him being the Doctor. I don't think I could complain.
I can picture it.
I mean, again, the only issue would be is that it will just give those "not my Doctor, our female Doctor's wrong" people more ammunition, which I think would be a shame. But at the same time, this would be, I think, a coup for the show. You know, this is arguably the biggest name they've had perform in live action. You know, they had Richard E. Grant recently and John Hurt. You know, those are probably as big as they get. Before that, they sort of make their stars with Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and David Tennant. But I just, you know, he has an impressive CV with all the films he's been in. He's a very well-known actor. If you want to bring the show back up to sort of talking point that most people will tune in just for him, probably for longer than they would if it was Danny Dyer, because you would stay for Hugh Grant for the season.
Yeah, he's got a likability to him, doesn't he?
Yes.
People just like Hugh Grant and things.
Yeah.
I think there's like a familiarity with him and like a comfort with him. Like I haven't seen Paddington 2, but I know it's heralded as like an amazing film. And he like the critical acclaim for his performance in it. I'm like, oh wow, I really should watch it. Yeah. So I think there's certainly I wouldn't be mad.
No, yeah, it would definitely be. I think, you know, Hugh Grant seen as a traditional, you know, one of Britain's best, you know, one of England's best actors, and this Doctor Who's often seen as, you know, one of England's longest running institutions, and that it's very sort of sacred. And I think you would just sort of throw them together. Why not? Could the BBC afford him for a season? No, probably not. That's why A Very English Scandal is like 3 episodes long. But again, with the co-production with Bad Wolf, and Bad Wolf just had the Sony money, there's always a chance that they could have found some funding from somewhere to pay this man the money to appear.
For half a season.
Yeah.
For Surprise Regeneration.
It's Danny Dyer. Oh, could you imagine? I mean, why not? Why not? You know? Oh, God. But yeah, I don't think I could complain if he was there. I don't think it will be him just because of logistics and all that kind of thing. But there is evidence that it could be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe Hugh Grant and Danny Dyer. That's the Doctor companion duo we've.
That's the TARDIS team. I'd be more than happy. Stick Kanan in there as well. That would be, I think, the best TARDIS team the world ever seen. Bring back David Tennant just as somebody completely different, and you know, why not? Peter Capaldi back in as Caecilius or whatever his name was. Yeah.
You know, Karen Gillan back as the weird priest lady.
Yeah.
Could all get him in, you know.
We've got a hell of a show on our hands here.
Oh, that's the 60th right there. I mean, Hugh Grant's not even there for the whole thing. He just regenerates halfway through to Danny Dyer, and then Danny Dyer regenerates again at the end.
Into Joanna Lumley.
All in 75 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously that's the list of those that have been sort of referenced recently and have been sort of in the public domain where you can get the odds. I will say with the odds is when I was looking for these today, every single betting site I went to no longer carried the Next Doctor as an option to bet on. So I don't know if you have to request a bet from those sites or if they've pulled betting for some reason, which makes me think that there could be an announcement soon. They could have announced it while we were watching this. Who knows? We'll check shortly. I don't think so. It won't. Surely they won't. They will do something either at 5 or 6 or 7. They won't do it at like 5:13. I mean, I could be wrong.
5.
Maybe, but still, you know, that's poor scheduling.
Can you imagine if I checked and they've announced it? Danny Dyer?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I wouldn't even believe you. I would have to check my phone myself because I would refuse to believe that you stumbled on it.
No, nothing, sadly.
Didn't think so.
You still have a video to post, don't worry.
Well, we'll see. Depends. They could still announce it tonight. But yeah, so those are sort of our thoughts on those currently leading the polls in terms of who people think will be coming back. Outside of that list, have you got anyone that you sort of would recommend? Anyone that you'd want to see in the role?
I mentioned Tania Miller earlier, who I saw. Well, she's been in Doctor Who before. She's in Hellbent.
Right.
You know, famously popular episode, not at all divisive. But she was good in that, and I more recently I watched her in The Haunting of Bly Manor, and she's absolutely phenomenal in that show. So she could definitely do like the comedy and the drama of it all. So I could see that. In terms of anyone else,
wasn't she also in Years and Years?
Yeah, she's been in a few Rusty Davies things, and she's just done some Big Finish recently as well.
The
Rusty Davies penned Big Finish thing they did.
There you go.
So you know, foreshadowing. And when Russell wrote, I think was it the Rose novelization, he like imagined like a future Doctor in like Clive's photos. It's like bold with a flaming sword. He pictured her as that Doctor. So give the Doctor a flaming sword. Is all I'm saying.
Yep.
I'd be okay with it. Snapping down those sea devils with a flame sword. Fire beats water, bitch. But
sure, does it? I don't think it does.
well, it makes steam.
Doesn't water beat fire? Isn't that why we use
Sometimes.
water
It
on
depends
fires?
how much water there is, really.
Depends what kind of fire
You can
it is.
just boil.
Sometimes
You can boil water.
Sometimes you just have to use foam.
Yes, it's true. I don't know why we're having this debate, but yes. So yeah, I think that would be a pick. I'm sure there are others that I would think of. Who was the guy they rumored, to replace Peter Capaldi who just quit Death in Paradise?
Chris Marshall. Chris
Marshall. Yeah. I could see him being a hapless Doctor. And yeah, he was who I was convinced it was at the time, and then I watched that announcement with Junior. I was like, okay. That's not him.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe him as well. I don't know, but yeah, I really didn't have I don't have a horse in this race currently. I'm just going along with the rumors. So I think Rakhee Thakrar is probably my pick.
Yeah, I think that's fair and sort of similar situation. I was just thinking, I was like, I can't think of an actor off the top of my head, that I would want to see in the role. I mean, by all means, I'll take anyone.
Colin Baker, give him another shot.
Yeah, why not? He might be better well received in his first run this time, maybe. Yeah. But out of that list, Lydia West is probably my pick. I mean, by all means, try the David Tennant thing, but I think it would be a mistake if he's a full length 2-3 season Doctor. I think that'd be tricky to pull off. But yeah, I think Lydia West for me is my pick. But as we mentioned, I'm not first. I'm past the stage in my life where I'm crying about who the Doctor currently is or who they're going to be. I did it with Chris Ferguson. I was like, oh, I'm not going to watch the next person. Oh, and then David Tennant was great, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to watch the next person. Oh, and then Matt Smith was great. I was like, oh, I'm not going to watch the next person. Oh, and Peter Capaldi was great. And at that point, I was like, whoever it is, great. I've been burnt enough times. I've been proved wrong that whoever they cast,
a woman.
I'm not watching it. Oh, it turns out she. So whoever they cast, I'm sure will be fine. Because as always with Doctor Who, it's not necessarily the actor; it's the scripts.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a bad actor to play the Doctor. There's just been maybe bad scripts to set them down. At times.
That you could bring Paul McGann back and be like, "Yep, this is the 14th." Give him a proper good run. Give him another run. Give him a proper televised run.
A run.
She's got a big finish now. She's got to do all that first. She's got to do a big finish run before she gets a show.
Okay.
But those, what Doctor Who could do in the future in terms of spin-offs and all that kind of thing, that's something we can talk about in a future video, because I think there are loads of possibilities there, and Russell's spoken about wanting to do that kind of thing before. So who knows where that could go. But, the next big thing for Doctor Who is its 14th Doctor, and I would imagine that discussion is probably almost signed and sealed at BBC. And I would not be shocked if we find out who that is in the very near future.
Especially if what Bad Wolf are filming today and started filming today is Doctor Who, because they could be filming it right now and we have no idea.
There could be,
Dyer is probably filming right now.
Could you imagine? God, yeah, EastEnders. Not Doctor Who. But yeah.
Well, I mean, we've had the Doctor Who EastEnders crossover for Children Need or something.
Yeah, that's definitely canon.
Very well received dimensions in time.
Yep, that's definitely something that people want to remember.
Definitely, yeah.
Sure.
There's precedent for it. It's going to happen.
Definitely. Okay. Well, that will that'll leave us there for our discussion today. If you've got any thoughts about who you'd want to see as 14th Doctor, by all means, let us know. If you want to, if you want us to do more little discussion like this, I mean, we're going to do them anyway. So, if you've got any ideas, if you've got any ideas that you think we should talk about, let us know. With only one other episode coming this year, there's a lot of Doctor Who time to fill. And yeah, with that, we'll be back on the weekend with your regularly scheduled content of The End of Time Part 2. But yeah, until then, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.